Finally, we have a president who's out there doing what presidents do. You know, we have a president being presidential. Welcome back to the show. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it. First topic, Trump has liberated DC and has federalized the police department. Go ahead, roll the clip.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States. I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
Yeah, good for him, taking back the city, letting everybody know we're not just going to be letting crime run rampant. It's crazy that for some reason we got this narrative out there that if you prosecute crime and you actually, put criminals behind bars, that you're a racist. Like, it's racist to prosecute crime because there are certain people who are committing a lot more of the crimes than other people, right? So they got to try to skew the numbers. They got to make it look like crime is down. There's this fake narrative going around right now that crime is down 30% in DC. Completely fake, right? Complete fake numbers. It's all just, everything is fake about it. It's sickening that people would actually believe that that's the case, that like, oh yeah, no, it's down, the crime is way down over the last 30. No, it's worse than ever because nobody's prosecuting crime. And Trump's finally saying, yeah, if you do something stupid in DC and you want to be a thug, we're going to prosecute you. We're going to take you off the streets so you can't ruin our city anymore. And good for Trump. And this is what people want, right? This is what people voted for. Nobody wants crime, just crime-riddled cities, right? But all right, let's get to the next topic. So JD Vance is claiming that the far left only responds to power and then he wants to be seeing prosecutions. Go ahead, roll the clip.
Well, I think the only thing the far left really responds to is power, Jim, if I'm being honest. I wish that wasn't the case, but it actually is. And so, the thing that they're actually going to be responsive to is the recognition that there are consequences on the other side. And this is why it's so important and why the president is so insistent that we actually take legal action against those who broke the law in the Biden administration. If they get off scot-free, if they're never investigated, if they're never prosecuted when they violated the law, then they're just going to come back and do the exact same thing again. And there are a few different ways, of course. So it's the big tech companies that were censoring conservatives. They've got to know that's not going to be allowed, and there are going to be consequences for it. The banks, the president is really preoccupied with this, and rightfully so. So many conservative nonprofits were debanked. They actually had their money stolen from them by these big Wall Street institutions. You've got to make sure that doesn't happen. And of course, you've got to pay the lawfare back in kind. You've got to say to the Comeys and the Brennans of the world, of course, you got to follow the law. You can only prosecute people when they actually broke the law. But we know that a lot of people broke the law in the last administration, and they've got to face real justice, not just words, not just getting hauled before a committee in Capitol Hill. If people broke the law, they have to actually be prosecuted for it. Because I think that if they do that, if they know that the consequence for breaking the law is go to jail, then the next generation of Democrats, they're not going to try the same thing. They're not going to try to throw Donald Trump in prison.
Yeah, it's so true. The only thing these libtards will ever respond to is just pure power and prosecutions. Like, oh yeah, you do something stupid, you want to go out there and vandalize crap, you want to go out there and, be corrupt and do corrupt things. Yeah, we're going to start prosecuting, You're not going to be allowed to just do whatever you want anymore. You don't have free reign anymore. That era's over, So if you want to be corrupt and you want to do corrupt things, especially as a politician, yeah, we're going to prosecute you so you learn your lesson and you don't do it again, right? A slap on the wrist or just shaming these libtards isn't going to get them to stop doing what they're doing, right? They need to see cold, hard people doing time, cold, hard prosecutions to where people are just like, holy shit, I can't risk this again. I mean, I can't be that person. I don't want to be the person that they just made an example out of for being a corrupt moron. You know, like, that's the only thing that's going to stop these people from ever doing these types of things again. And we just have to see the prosecutions. Trump has to start, you know, arresting people and prosecuting people and making an example out of people. And I can't wait to see it, because it's what I voted for. I know it's what you voted for too. And I do think some sort of arrests and prosecutions will be coming down the pipe here pretty soon. But all right, let's get to the next topic here. CNN's Dana Bash is claiming that Bernie Sanders is one of the most admired Americans. Yeah, sure. Roll the clip.
Something that I'm sure you have seen, a Gallup poll. Did you see this Gallup poll?
Yep.
And what the Gallup poll found was that you are one of the most widely admired Americans. And I believe you're only second to the Pope.
You want me to declare my candidacy for Pope? Is that what you're asking?
I don't think that you're eligible for a lot of reasons.
Then I won't do that.
I watched you tonight. I've watched you for a very, very long time. You're obviously still full of vigor and intensity for the things that you're passionate about and have been for decades. Is there another presidential run in you?
Oh, God. Let's not worry about that. I am going to be 84 years of age next month, as a matter of fact. So I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah, come on. Is there anybody out there who actually thinks Bernie Sanders is the second most admired American behind the Pope? I mean, does anybody even really think the Pope is the most admired American, right? We all know Trump's the most admired American. No matter what the fake narrative out there, it's Trump. Because the guy's going out there and doing great things. Maybe it's Tom Brady. You know, maybe it could be Tom Brady, the most admired American. But a lot of people hate Tom Brady because he beat their team so bad, you know, so Tom Brady gets a little skewed in that regard. But what's really going on here is she's referencing a Gallup poll that says that his favorability among Americans is second only to the Pope, which I still don't even agree with. Do you really think Bernie Sanders is the second most favorable American as far as people, the way people see him? I don't think so. We all know Bernie's corrupt too. RFK blew the lid off the fact that he was taking money from the pharmaceutical companies, and he wanted to deny it, of course. Oh, I didn't take no money. You know, the guy took money from the pharmaceutical companies, and RFK completely blew the lid off that. But yeah, it's like, these polls are just so stupid anyways. Does anybody trust a poll? You know, like, has anybody ever been polled? Or, like, is the poll the fakest thing in American culture these days? You know, because it's so easy to just make up a poll. Like, oh, yeah, how favorable is Bernie Sanders today? Well, he's at a 48%. Yep. Prove me wrong. I just made up that number, but you can't prove me wrong, right? So it's just, any sort of poll is just, like, so stupid. I bring on polls sometimes, especially when it's those CNN ones where they're showing just how great America's doing and how much people are loving Trump and everything he's doing, just to trigger the libs. You know, sometimes you just got to trigger the libs with a poll. But yeah, when it really comes to polls, they're just all fake. I don't even think we've ever seen a real poll with real data. Let me know what you think about polls, but yeah, they're all just bullshit. But all right, let's get to the next topic here. So Trump had a hilarious response to the press when they asked about expanding the White House press briefing room, since they're building a big, beautiful ballroom. Go ahead, roll the clip.
My question is this. You're building a big, beautiful ballroom.
Yeah.
Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room? Updated technology, more seats.
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable. No, I don't want to make life comfortable.
Yeah, that clip right there just totally showed that the press completely loves Trump. You know, they're finally getting to do their job again. They're finally able to have press conferences in the White House briefing room. You know, like, the whole 4 years under Biden, these people didn't get to ask one question. Biden would go in there and just say some mumblings and read off a teleprompter. Then they would just be shouting at him. Then his handlers, no, it's over. You can't ask it. No, we're done for the day. You know, it's like, finally, we have a president who's out there doing what presidents do. You know, we have a president being presidential. answering questions in a press conference every single day. The guy does like 3 press conferences a day. The guy basically loves the press conference because he just gets to do whatever he wants. He gets to say his thing. He gets to shape the nation, piss people off. He gets to do whatever he wants during a press conference, and he knows just how important each one is, and everything he's going to be saying, people are going to be scrutinizing. So he knows exactly what he needs to do during a press conference, what needs to be said, how he needs to shape things, how he needs to present things. And Biden couldn't do any of it, right? And it just shows that the press is loving the fact that they finally got a guy in there that they could grill, they could ask real questions, they know they're going to get real answers. It's a beautiful thing when we have a president who's great and he's, capable of doing everything that a president should be doing, right? Like talking in front of people or answering questions on the fly. The fact that we had a president who couldn't answer a question on the fly is just sickening, folks. It's absolutely sickening. But all right, that's it for today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll be seeing you.